Fraction powers. There really isn't any way to explain this, you just need to remember what they actually mean. So if we look at a fraction, we already learnt before when we did solving quadratic equations that powers and roots, so square roots and squaring for example, are opposite to each other. But the roots themselves can be written as a power. So if I have a fractional power, if I have, say, letter A to the power of a fraction m over n, then what this means is that A is to the power of the number on the very top, and I think that makes sense because the number highest is the number on the top becomes the power, just like it would if it was just one number written in that power position. The number on the bottom becomes the nth root. So if that number on the bottom is a 2, it becomes a square root, and we don't tend to write the 2 in, and a calculator doesn't even show us the 2. But if you have a look above the square root button, you will see there is a cube root button. So if you have cubed, or if you have something that has a power over 3, then it is going to be a cube root. And what that means is something multiplied by itself 3 times. Square root, something multiplied by itself twice, will give you this number as the answer. So if I have 5 to the power of 1/2 or 1 over 2, I can write this as 5 to the power of 1, the number on the top becomes the power, or the numerator becomes the power of the 5. The number on the bottom becomes my root type. So if my number on the bottom is a 2, then this indicates a square root because 2 means squaring. If I have, for example, y to the power of 2/3, y becomes to the power of 2, the number on the top, and it becomes to the third root, or what we call the cube root, as the root type. If I had something, for example, like k to the power of 7 on 8, then that would be k to the power of the number on the top, which is 7, and the root type would be 8. Now, if I needed to enter that on my calculator, you will see there is, just above the power of button, there is a little in yellow, which is your shift colour, a little button which if I press it, shows you it is anything or a different root type. So if I wanted to take something to the 8th root, then I need to type 8 into that little box in front of the root, and I don't know, let's say my number was 2 to the power of 7 on 8, and it would become 2 to the power of 7, and the 8th root, then I would put in 2 and power of 7. Okay? So let's have a look at doing some simplifying. If I simplify a to the half times a to the quarter, we're going to use the same rules we used before. If we are multiplying, we add our powers. Now a half plus a quarter, you should know this. Half is 2/4 plus an additional quarter is going to give me 3/4. Now I can leave it like that, or I could write that as a to the power of 3 to the 4th root. Let's have a look at the next one. We need to write it with a fractional power. So a is to the power of 6, and it has a square root symbol. I know it's a square root because there's nothing out the front, and I know that my calculator just shows me nothing means a square root. So that means it's x to the power of, if I make it a fraction, the number on the top is the power, which is the 6. Okay? And the root type is the denominator, so it's 6 on 2. Now I can actually simplify that. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so it actually becomes a to the power of 3. X to the power of 3. The next one, number 3, I'm looking for that magic word again. I see it, and it's evaluate. 4 to the power of 2/3. I don't need to worry about any of this. I'm simply going to type exactly what I see into my calculator. 4 to the power of fraction 2 over 3 equals, do I get a fraction? No, I'm going to have to write it as 2.5198 ... which will round off, if I do it to 1 decimal place, as 2.5. The second place is a 1, and a 1 tells me to stay the same. So 2.5, that 5 doesn't go up. It's not a go up number because the number behind the 5 is a 1. And I'm going to write 1dp to stand for 1 decimal place. Let's have a look at number 4. Again, I'm going to follow those rules that I've used before. So the first one is multiplying by my brackets. I'm going to leave the over a squared. And remember, when I have brackets and powers, brackets mean times, and it is my powers that are going to times. A to the power of 1/3 times 6, 6 lots of 1/3, using my calculator, is going to give me 2. So that becomes a to the power of 2, and the times a is still there. Okay, on the top now, when I times my powers, I join them together. A to the power of 2 times a gives me another a, which is a to the power of 3. On the bottom, I've still got a squared. Now, when I have a fraction, yes, I can minus or cancel out my fractions, because fraction line is the same as dividing my fractions, or dividing a fraction that has powers in it. So a squared cancels with 2 on the top, which leaves me with a. Or remember, if I'm minusing my powers, 3 take away 2 leaves me with 1, and I don't have to write the 1 in. You now should be able to just do question 1, first column only.